Am I the idiot? For finishing the fireplace my husband promised to complete over a year ago. My husband and I have been married for 8 years, together for 10. We have 3 young kids, a 6-year-old male, a 4-year-old female, and a 1-year-old female. He works in the trades and I am returning to teaching in September after spending a few months recovering from the damage my previous job did to my mental health. I mention this because even though most of my days are good, I still have some moments where I ruminate on that trauma, and maybe what I'm feeling now has to do with that. I don't know. Over the past couple of days, I've been struggling to get through my day-to-day. I don't know if it's just been a couple of bad days or if I just need some alone time to recharge a bit while taking care of the kids, or if I'm just going stir-crazy from looking at the same 4 walls. My husband is a great husband and father. He is very hands-on with the kids when he is home, and the shared chores are usually split pretty evenly. But he has a couple of flaws that are grating on me. The first is that he is so helpful to everyone. He would drop everything to help others, which is great, but it usually happens at my expense. I can't even count the number of times weekends have passed with me and the kids sitting on the sidelines while he plays the white knight for someone else. Because he is handy, both of our families and friends have projects that they want him to do, and he will do them. Meanwhile, we have enough projects of our own. We are missing trim in rooms, the basement is unfinished, a window needs replacing in our bedroom, and so on. This leads into the second flaw, his inability to finish anything for us. I'm stuck looking at a house with projects started but unfinished. My living room fireplace is a prime example of how these flaws hurt me. When we first bought the house 2 years ago, he promised me that the first thing he would do is build me a fireplace wall with built-in shelves. It's been sitting partially finished for at least a year. Meanwhile, I had to watch him finish a similar project for his sister in 3 weeks. I understand that she was paying him for it, but it still hurts seeing her beautiful living room while mine is in disarray. There are other examples, of course, like the whole fiasco with our ensuite half-bath. I had wanted it done before the birth of our 3rd child. He instead helped the neighbor drywall his living room, and my bathroom was completed 4 months later. It was so much fun sleeping in a construction zone with my newborn. Right now, he is off helping my dad with a project. I'm at home, looking at the unfinished fireplace and feeling unfulfilled. I have some rudimentary do-it-yourself skills, but with 3 children underfoot, it's not a project I can undertake right now. On top of that, I'm also busy trying to prepare for the school year, but it's hard finding uninterrupted time for that either. Right now, the kids are having a rare moment where they are not squabbling, but they still demand attention, which I barely have the bandwidth to give. And as kids are, I clean one room and the next looks like a tornado. And someone always needs something. I just feel defeated and stuck. And I resent my husband for getting to leave the house and actually do something worthwhile while I'm stuck here with nothing to show for it. I resent my dad because he is getting his projects done while I stare at unfinished things around the house. I just want someone to take the kids so I can get things done and feel like I can accomplish something. But it seems that even though we live steps away from both sets of grandparents, they are too busy to even offer. And if I ask, I get the "we'd love to" but response. I desperately need a break, and I need my husband to care or show that he cares. But when I've talked to him about the projects, he claims he needs time or money, to which I have asked him to give me a quote on what he needs to finish these so we can budget, and he doesn't. Now it's become a running joke with our mutual friends and family. I'm just so frustrated because he is so good in every other aspect, but I just feel like I'm only a priority if everyone else is fine first, and they are never fine. Is it just me being in a funk? Am I reading too much into this? Or is there a way I can communicate this in another way? I feel like I don't matter. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He's using the excuse of helping everyone else as his social or fun time, leaving you to deal with the unfun parts of family life. Also, are these other people paying him? If so, that money should be going to finish your work. Maybe tell your dad and other relatives that the handyman service is closed until further notice. Comment 2. He may appear really helpful to others, but to his partner, he starves. He has his priorities upside down. I think it is a personal issue. He needs some counseling and boundaries. Tell him to stop helping everyone else but his partner. It would almost be better to be his friend. You would get more care. Now for the update. 1 week later, and I'm still just as frustrated about my husband's unfinished projects and lack of attention to home life. Honestly, I don't even have the energy to go into the details again. It's been a rough few weeks, and I'm just going to try to get through this as best I can. Decided to tackle some small tasks around the house to feel a sense of accomplishment. Basically, I was just trying to do something that would make me feel better. So, I cleaned out a closet and found boxes of old toys and clothes that could be donated. While sorting through all that stuff, I discovered a half-finished scrapbook my husband started years ago, intended for our kids. It was sweet and all, but also just another reminder of how he's always got time to do stuff for everyone else, but never gets around to doing it for our family. Anyway, he agreed to help me with the kids for the day, promising to work on the Fireplace project later. I thought maybe that would be the push he needed to actually get it done. But of course, he ended up getting a last-minute call from a friend who needed help with a home repair, leaving me alone again. So there I was, juggling the kids while cleaning and organizing the house, wishing for some actual teamwork and not just empty promises about helping out. At dinner, I brought up how the Fireplace project is still unfinished. He brushed it off, saying he'll get to it when he has time, making it sound like a joke. Like, seriously? Your wife's been waiting a year and a half, and that's your response? The kids were excited about the scrapbook, and he seemed annoyed that I wasn't engaging with him. He tried to change the subject, but I kept working on the scrapbook while the kids cheered me on. It was just one of those moments where I felt like I was doing something meaningful for our family, while he was just being a distraction. During dinner, he casually mentions that his sister is having a birthday party next weekend and expects him to help with the decorations. Of course she does. The next day I decided to take the kids to the birthday party to show my support. At the party, I noticed my husband was busy organizing the decorations and chatting with family. One of his relatives jokingly asked why he hasn't finished the fireplace yet, drawing attention to the issue. He just laughed it off, which honestly made me feel even more frustrated. Like, he thinks it's funny that he's neglected this project for over a year? After the party, I confronted him in the car, asking why he seems to care more about his sister than our family. He claimed I was overreacting and that he'll get to our projects when he can. This led to a heated argument where he accused me of not being supportive of his family. Back at home, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I knew I couldn't wait on him anymore. So I made a plan to finish the fireplace myself and gathered supplies from a local store. I spent the next few days working on the fireplace late at night after the kids were asleep. He noticed the supplies piled up but didn't ask what I was doing. On the weekend, I revealed the nearly completed fireplace to him, showing him what I accomplished. He was taken aback, and I told him I couldn't wait for him anymore. That was when our argument resurfaced. He accused me of undermining him, and I countered by saying I was done waiting for his help. It was time for both of us to take responsibility. The argument escalated, and he stormed out, saying he was going to help his sister with her home project. I finished the fireplace that night. The next day, I decided to invite my in-laws over to see the finished fireplace, making it a point to showcase my work. During the visit, my husband seemed embarrassed and tried to downplay my effort. The in-laws praised me, and it made him uncomfortable. The evening ended with him sulking. The unresolved tension lingers as I prepare for our next family gathering. Mini update: the family gathering was a disaster. My husband was in a terrible mood all evening, and our argument from the previous week kept coming up. He told his family that I did the fireplace project behind his back, and they sided with him, asking why I couldn't wait for him. I felt ganged up on, but I stood my ground, saying I was tired of waiting on him for everything. After the gathering, I told him I was done fighting about this. Now for the next story. My husband, a 30-year-old man, and I, a 28-year-old woman, have been together for 6 years and married for 4, with 2 kids, a 3-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old daughter. My husband is everything to me. He's amazing in every way, and I couldn't possibly ask for a better husband and father for our daughters and future children. I love this man more than anything, and my absolute worst fear is losing him. He works an office job, but also occasionally teaches a weekend morning yoga and meditation class at the gym he goes to. 2 months ago, a woman who is a fitness influencer with a following of about 20,000 recently started regularly attending his classes and asked to take a selfie, saying that she wanted to give my husband and the gym a shout out for organizing the yoga classes. She took 3 selfies of the 2 of them, and in the last one, she randomly kissed my husband on the cheek. And my husband made it clear that he had no interest in her. My husband told me what happened that very day, and he never followed her back or gave her his number, and I felt thankful and happy that my husband was honest and upfront with me about someone else testing the waters with him and him shutting her down. A few days later, this woman somehow found my social media and requested to follow me, which I denied. I kept a close eye on her social media for a little while, and a few days after that, she changed her profile picture to one of the selfies of her and my husband. I randomly showed up to my husband's next yoga classes, and afterwards I gave her a piece of my mind to leave my husband and me alone. Her profile picture went back to what it was before, and I thought it was the end of that. I kept showing up to my husband's yoga classes, and she was always there too, and she would try to make small talk, but I mostly ignored her until she eventually apologized and admitted she was out of line. Over the next few weeks, we became okay and somewhat friends, despite my husband telling me to not get close with or trust her. Over this past weekend, I got a text from her telling me that she felt guilty about hiding the truth and sent me several screen recordings worth of messages between her and my husband, talking badly about me, the lies he would tell me, plans to hook up, and more. It all seemed real, and there was no way I could have known it was all fake, especially since she had been very friendly to me in the past few weeks. I confronted my husband, and he denied it all, and I didn't believe him. I accused him of deleting the messages from his phone. I said terrible things to him and told him to leave our home and never speak to me again. I told him that we were done and that I would be filing for divorce, and he would never see our daughters again. I got on a call with her to get all the details, and I caught her in a lie, and I pressed her about it, and she confessed it was all a lie, and she broke down and said she just wanted my husband. I immediately called my husband and begged him to come home and apologized for everything I did and said to him. Today, he came home after work and played with our daughters for a little while, and left again once they were in bed. He's been ignoring me almost completely, and he's fully right to do so. I know I made several mistakes. Becoming her friend despite my husband telling me not to, trusting her screen recordings, not trusting my husband's love and loyalty to me, and kicking him out of our home. It's all my fault. I cried myself to sleep last night, and tonight won't be any different. I can't do this without him. He's my everything, and I feel like I've lost him. I know he will be back tomorrow after work, and that will be my best chance to try talking and apologizing to him. What can I do to fix this and earn my husband's trust back? I have thought of everything from writing him a letter telling him how sorry I am and how much I love and admire him, to forcing a hug, cooking his favorite dish, or suggesting some sort of counseling for us, but I don't know what to actually do. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think it's very disturbing that you threatened to never allow him to see his kids again. That probably makes things 10 times worse for you. That might be the hardest thing for him to get over, because it might change the way he sees you. I mean, I have heard stories of women who made that threat to good men, and those women were always beyond awful. You put yourself in their company by making that threat, even if you didn't do as many bad actions as they did. The other issue is that you proved you trusted and respected this woman, whom you knew for 2 months, more than your husband and how he felt. Your husband showed you respect, and in return, you spit in his face. Do what you feel led to when he comes back, but My post is to make you more mindful of how severe your actions were. Comment 2. I'm not sure you can. You can try, but you were so quick to believe her over your husband, who was very clear that he was not interested in her. You went nuclear. You need to figure out why you believed this woman, especially when your husband told you to avoid her. You need therapy and to make a sincere apology, and then you need to shut up and listen to your husband. This entire post is all about you and how you feel. Imagine how he feels, maybe. Now for the update. A couple of days went by after the whole confrontation with my husband. Never thought I'd be in this kind of mess. I woke up that morning and decided to write him a letter. I poured my heart into it. I basically told him how sorry I was, like really sorry, and that I messed up big time, and I don't blame him if he hates me. I just wanted him to know that I love him, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fix this. I also told him that I understand if he needs time. Then I had this idea to cook his favorite meal, chicken Alfredo, for dinner that night. It's like his ultimate comfort food, and I thought maybe it could help us reconnect. So I had this plan in my head, and I was hoping it would work out. I picked up our daughters from school, and they were super excited to see me. They had no idea what was going on, thank goodness. They were just happy to be home. I mean, who doesn't love a little chaos after school? So we got home, and I started preparing the meal while the girls played in the living room. They were making this huge mess with their toys, but honestly, I didn't care. I was just trying to create a nice atmosphere for dinner, you know? My husband got home late that night. He looked so tired and distant, like he hadn't even seen the sun in days. I could see that he was struggling with everything that happened, and so was I. I set the table with these cute little candles, trying to make it cozy and inviting. I thought maybe a little ambiance could help us talk, but honestly, I knew it was a long shot. He barely acknowledged me when he walked in, just gave me a nod and headed straight to the couch. I mean, ouch. Talk about a mood unalived. I got the food ready and served it up, but he barely touched his plate. The girls were so excited about dinner and tried to talk to him about their day, but he was just glued to his phone. After dinner, I thought maybe we could have a conversation, but he shut me down so fast. I felt this frustration building up inside me, but I didn't want to push him. So I decided to give him some space and just did the dishes. I figured cleaning up would be a good distraction. Later that week, we went to a birthday party for one of our daughter's friends. It was supposed to be a fun time, but it turned out to be a mess. Guess who showed up? The influencer. She just walked in, mingling with all the other parents. I couldn't believe it. I had to keep my cool, though. I couldn't let her get to me. So I approached her, and she made this comment about how my husband was always so fun-loving. Like, seriously? I forced a smile and changed the subject to our daughters. I couldn't even deal with her nonsense. I just wanted to get through the party without losing my mind. A few days after that, I found a text message on my husband's phone from the influencer. It was an invitation to a private yoga session, asking him to bring his wife. I was so done at this point. I confronted him, demanding to know why he didn't tell me. He acted all innocent, saying it was just for fun, and he didn't want to upset me more. I just couldn't deal with this anymore. I decided to contact the influencer and arrange to meet for coffee. I pretended like I wanted to be friends. I figured if she thought I was on her side, she'd let her guard down. During the meeting, she was all nice and apologetic about the misunderstanding. I kept an eye on her, though. There were so many inconsistencies in her story. I subtly asked about my husband, acting all interested in their yoga classes. I mean, I had to play the role, right? Then she casually mentioned how she enjoyed the attention from married men. I was like, wow, this girl is something else. After our coffee date, I left with a plan. I was going to document their interactions. I knew I needed proof to show my husband. The following week, I attended another yoga class with my husband. It was so awkward, but I had to do it. I discreetly recorded snippets of the influencer's interactions with other guys in the class. It was eye-opening. After the class, I shared the recordings with a few close family members. They were shocked. My sister was like, "You need to confront this girl publicly." So I organized a small gathering with some friends and invited the influencer without revealing my intentions. At the gathering, I played the recordings on my phone for everyone to hear. The influencer's facade just crumbled, and the guests turned against her. It was so satisfying to watch. I just sat there, listening to everything. The influencer left, feeling humiliated and exposed. At that moment, I knew I had done the right thing. To answer a few questions, my husband and I have been together for over a decade. We have always had a strong relationship, and this was the first major issue we faced. The influencer's initial contact with me seemed friendly, and I genuinely thought we could be friends. The message I found on my husband's phone was an invitation for a yoga class. The coffee meeting with the influencer was meant to gather information, and I tried to act supportive to get her to open up. I did not feel guilty about the confrontation party because I believed it was necessary to protect my family.